All right, so here we go, chat. This is the Dead Black. It was released April 2nd of this year. Closed test 15.4, new ship. So this stuff is going to be entering testing. It's going to be probably a couple patches before it ended up hitting the live server. It's going to go through probably a patch or two worth of testing, then it's going to be released. But what they're telling you here is they are going to start testing these ships in 15.4. You're going to see the super testers out there running around doing their thing. Right now, captains, behold, 5 exciting ships approaching, including historically famous Japanese destroyers and Canadian warships. All right, here we go. This is going to be my greatest attempt to murder every single language that exists on planet Earth here. Commonwealth destroyer at tier 9. I'm really excited about this. Oh, God, how do I say that? How do I do this? Cayuga? Cayuga? I'm going with Cayuga. That's how I'm going to roll with it.
That's pretty good. Cayuga's pretty good.
Cayuga's pretty good. We're going to roll with that, chat. HMCS Cayuga was one of 7 tribal-class destroyers operated by the Royal Canadian Navy and one of 4 constructed in Canada. So that's like, it's a British design, but it is actually a Canadian ship, which is super exciting. Completed too late to see action in the Second World War. She later served in the Korean War, participated in 3 operation tours before becoming decommissioned in 1964. The Cayuga was named in honor of the Cayuga Nation, a First Nations people of Canada. Okay. Don't let the small size fool you. This destroyer punches well above her weight and comes in loaded with a hallmark of Commonwealth ships, but with a special twist. Good main gun damage per minute with a decent range, access to time-based crawling smoke generator. So kind of Haida is what comes to mind. Perth, you know, it looks like she's kind of following the trend here of the Commonwealth cruisers, right? A small number of torpedo with decent range. Okay, probably one torpedo launcher then, most likely 1 torpedo launcher. 2x2 torpedo launcher available. Okay, so you can single launch torp with it as well too. Small HP pool. Okay, sounds to be like a straight dedicated gunboat. Good main battery damage per minute with a decent range, a small number of torpedoes. So that's just gunboat, 100%. I'm thinking a tier 9 Haida. I'm down with that. We all love Haida at tier 7. It's an amazing boat. So if they're going to come out with something that, you know, similar to tier 9, I'm pretty excited about that. This destroyer is about relentless firepower. Sold. I'm gonna get it. That's all you need to tell me to buy this ship, man. This destroyer is all about relentless firepower with their fast reload and decent concealment. You might want to set your sights on enemy destroyers and cruisers. Cayuga's 802mm guns. Okay, so it's gonna be a light caliber, high rate of fire ship. Guns can pack quite a punch. God, I can't talk. Cayuga's 802mm guns can pack quite a punch and melt most light armor targets by racking up a significant amount of damage in a very little time. That's where her crawling smoke generator, typically found in Commonwealth ships, comes in handy. Use it to remain mobile while taking cover and continue to apply pressure to the enemy. Haida. It's a tier 9 Haida. It's a tier 9 Haida. And the tier 7 Haida is absolutely amazing. So this thing's gonna be super strong and really fun to play. Her smoke consumable operates on a time-based system, meaning you can control how long the smoke is deployed. Let's go. So it's gonna have the same burst fire smoke as like the Barrows, the Osborne, the Lafty. It's gonna work like the Lafty. That said, this comes with a trade-off. In contrast to some ships that feature time-based consumables with very short cooldowns between intervals, her crawling smoke generator, it follows a standard long reload time. As a result, turning the smoke on and off requires more careful planning. You won't want to be left out in the open with a smoke on cooldown. Okay, so let's unpack that there. It's gonna have a burst fire smoke similar to Barrels, Lafty, Osborne, but instead of having a short 20-second cooldown, it's gonna have a standard cooldown in your smoke. So when you use it, you got it. When you shut it off, standard cooldown compared to other destroyers. So you're gonna have to use that. You're gonna have to play tactful with that. I like this DD already. Catalytic carries a single quadruple torp launcher with a good range, but it won't be your primary weapon due to a meteor damage potential. However, you might utilize her tube by tube launching capability to deliver precise place torpedo blows to already damaged targets. Alternatively, you can use flooding with your torps to make the enemy waste their damage control party and then pepper them with the HE shells. Yeah, the other scenario I think works really well with bow on torps, and this goes for any other destroyer with bow on torps in the games. This works well with any other single launch torpedo destroyer in the game. You can put torps on bow on targets. Pretty easy compared to a steady, like a standard torpedo thread launcher. So that's the other scenario where I think ships like this with single launch torpedoes can come in pretty handy. That thing looks really strong. I'm actually really excited about that. Keep in mind that she has a small health pool and no repair party to compensate for losses, so every trade needs to be calculated. I mean, you're gonna have to play smart with that thing, but that just looks strong. Looks like a really fun destroyer. Classic, do you want to go ahead and do the rundown here on this Italian battleship by the looks of it?
Based on a proposal by Italian engineer Ferdinando Castone. In this hypothetical construction, the ship would have received a large battery of 203mm guns, along with significantly improved secondary and anti-aircraft armament, reflecting developments in naval warfare during the late 1930s and 40s. It looks like a mix between cruiser and battleship. 16203 with SAP, good dispersion, fast reload. Yeah, that kind of sounds good. Good ballistics again, but the drawback being the shortening battery range. High maximum speed, below average maneuverability, low armor with vulnerable extremities. So it sounds like an Italian ship.
Yeah, to me, it sounds like an Italian version of the Illinois.
All right, Conte Verde is armed with an impressive battery of 16 203mm guns, and she can unleash powerful, accurate, and frequent salvo. Choose your prey primarily among lightly armored ships as you pose a serious threat to them. Thanks to her cruiser-like caliber, she is able to deal full damage salvos to destroyers.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's just nasty. That said, her base firing range is fairly low for a battleship, so you would need to get closer and risk getting shot back or extend your reach with a spotting aircraft while relying on her impressive speed to reposition. When taking the helm, don't immediately adopt a battleship playstyle you would normally expect for a ship of her class. Despite her battleship hull, Conte Verde is less durable and agile compared to most battleships in the same tier. Therefore, she relies heavily on good early game positioning to survive an oppressor. Captains used to Irresistible will love this new ship with an Italian twist. Yeah, I like it Irresistible.
Yeah, that thing sounds pretty brutal. If they're giving it full pen damage on destroyers, that thing's gonna be just straight up nutty. That thing's gonna be an absolute menace to deal with. I'm kind of curious though, what kind of dispersion is this thing gonna have? You know what I mean? If it's got 203s with SAP, which is already insanely strong, what's the reload gonna be, and what's the dispersion gonna be on it? It says it's pretty accurate.
They said it's got good dispersion and good reload time. I'm gonna drop that down here. Artillery, 17.4 kilometers, reload time 17.5 seconds, Sigma 1.8, so not great but not bad. Maximum dispersion is 194 meters, which is pretty decent.
That's not too bad at all. That thing sounds absolutely
guns.
brutal.
Yeah, you got 16 guns and 194 meters.
Yeah, 72,500 hit points base. So that's, to me, that sounds kind of low. That sounds more like a tier 9 battleship, or even like a really good high tier 8 battleship. 72,500 hit points to me seems kind of low, but this thing, I mean, that's just insane. That thing's just gonna be a menace on the flank. It'll eat up cruisers, it'll eat up destroyers, and I think they're right about early game positioning with that thing too. If they gave the thing a crappy rudder, or if it just doesn't want to get out of its own way, you're kind of gonna have to set yourself up to be eyeballing like that cruiser target or that destroyer target where the first open minutes of the game, leave yourself a way out. All right, gets AWS airstrikes. Okay, well, that's standard.
Yeah, it's 35 knots.
Oh, wow, so that's fast as hell.
But the detectability, I guess, before concealment is 16.1, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's got some trade-offs. They got to balance it somehow. To me, it sounds like an Italian version of the Illinois with SAP and 203s. I mean, that's just, you're not going to be able to stack up fire damage with it unless they gave it HE as well. Did they give it HE? Sigma SAP shells, maximum damage, SAP, AP and SAP. So you can't start fires with this thing. But I don't care. That actually sounds that sounds crazy brutal. If you get all guns on a destroyer and land every single shell, you'll pretty much one-shot every DD in the game. Or that DD's going to be so hard. He's going to be down within 3,000 HP if he catches every single shell out of this thing. That's pretty nutty. All right, let's get over down here to this tier 10 Russian destroyer. Peredovoy? I have no idea how to say that.
I'm just going Peredovoy.
Peredovoy, we'll roll with that. Project 48, also known as a Kiev-class destroyer, was a planned class for the Soviet Navy in the years leading up to the Second World War. 2 hulls remain incomplete by the war's end and were later considered for completion under the modified design, incorporated lessons learned during the conflict. Ultimately, these plans were never realized, and the unfinished hulls were scrapped after the war. So these are all kind of like paper ships, which is fine. I'm fine with just bringing just newer content to the game any way they can. This is cool. A special ship for torpedo enjoyers. This destroyer rewards risky engagements with devastating strikes. Okay, cool. High damage torpedoes with low detectability and short range. We're gonna get into the specs of this ship because I already looked at it. I already have my thoughts on this thing and what I think of it, but we're gonna continue on here. Good main battery ballistics, but a moderate range. High maximum speed with decent maneuverability. That's cool. Small HP pool with access to the heavy repair team's consumable. Okay. Low base detectability. Peredovoy, however you say that, offers a unique high risk, high reward playstyle with her main guns on the weak side for her tier. Her true strength lies in her torpedoes. So they say right there, torpedo face destroyer. Unlike most sort of Soviet destroyers, is equipped with torpedoes that boost high base damage and extremely good concealment, enabling her to deliver devastating strikes against unsuspecting targets while offering low reaction time. But the devil is in the details. These torpedoes have a shorter range than her own stock detectability radius, though there is potential to improve this ratio. Enhance your concealment with the commander skills and upgrade to open the windows of opportunity through which you can unleash torpedoes far enough to stay undetected but close enough for them to reach your target. Here's my take on this ship. I think this thing's going to be insanely hard to play. I'm okay with like short torpedo if they're high damage and they got decent speed, and if they gave this thing a smoke in which you could disengage, it would be playable. Fore and aft armor plates, 19mm, hit points 16.9. Oh my god, 16,900 hit points. That's low. Fire duration 30 seconds. Main battery, okay, so it does have 130, so it's Russian guns. Max range is, oh, you only get 3x2, so you only got 5 guns total. God. Maximum range 11.1. So your guns are very just self-defense oriented. You're not going to be like actively picking a gunfight in this destroyer. Reload time 5.3 seconds. Even the reload's bad. 180-degree turn time 12 seconds. Maximum dispersion 99mm. 20 segment. Okay, big deal. Max damage 1900. Armor 22. Chance of causing flutter flying apart 8%. That's pretty typical. I'm looking down here. I want to get into the nitty-gritty of the torpedoes. Okay, 2x5. So you got 2 launchers, 5 apiece, so 10 torps total. Maximum damage 19,500. So yeah, they hit pretty hard. Max torpedo range 6.8. That's short. That's really short. Speed, oh my god, that's terrible. 53 knots. 53 knots. Guys, this thing's gonna be really hard to work with. Detectability range 0.6 kilometers. So yeah, they're gonna be pretty much invisible until you're like up on top of a target. But man, you gotta play silly risky with this thing to get anything done in it. This is gonna be a very circumstantial style of gameplay, and it's gonna be one of those ships where you either have a crazy good game or nothing at all. It's to me this looks
ambush ship.
Yeah, it's an ambush ship, but I think it's gonna be really hard to ambush with because it doesn't have smoke, right? You can't disengage. So this thing's gonna be really hard to work with.
Smoke. Yeah, it's an Italian DD without smoke. You know, the gun range doesn't make much difference at this point. I mean,
no, it really don't. Yeah, it really don't. I think you're gonna have a hard time playing objectives with this thing. It wouldn't like I don't even see this thing as a decent cab contester. Like normally in a tour boat, you want to be torp in the RPF, right? If you got 2Ds in a cab, both the cabs contested by you and another destroyer, I send torps towards the RTF. But if the max range is only 6.8, and moreover the speeds are only 53 knots, it's like you're not going to be able to do that good. So I don't even see this DD as a DD that you're really going to be able to kind of like play the objectives with, and it's going to be really hard to work with. A torpedo tube reload time 106 seconds. Okay,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
This is a torp boat. I mean, you're not going to win the gunfight.
Yeah. dedicated torp boat, kind of an ambushy style play style. Like I said, it's going to be high risk, high reward, but I think this ship will shine late game. You know what I mean? Late game, if you can survive it and your team's got an upper hand and you can find that 1 or 2 low targets on the backside of a rock where you can jump it. But other than that, this seems to be really, really, really hard to work with effectively.
It's almost like an Ohotnik play style.
Yeah, I think I would compare it to an Ohotnik. I still think the Ohotnik's kind of, even at tier 5 on a 1-in-1, you know, tier for tier comparison, the Ohotnik's just got better guns, where this thing's just going to be really hard to work with. We're talking at a tier. This is a tier 10 destroyer, right? So we're talking at a tier where we're jam-packed with, you know, 10 and 12 kilometer radar and, you know, 5.5, 6 kilometer hydro. It's really hard to get those ambushy style plays, you know, that close with torps with that bad a speed and no smoke. So it's like, it's just going to be a very circumstantial style ship, and it's going to be heavy. It's going to, your ability to perform in the ship's going to be heavily based on the map you get and the matchmaker you get. Detectability range by sea is 7.6. So you take another, what is it, like 15% or something off of that with a commander build? 10%.
10 plus 10.
10 plus 10, 20.
Yeah, 20. Yeah, so
it's like 6.2, 6.3, somewhere around in there. So yeah, you only got maybe 500 or 600 meters difference between the maximum torpedo range and your detectability by sea. This thing's gonna be really hard to use. That's just where I stand with it. I think it's a neat concept. I like the idea, but she's gonna be very, very, very hard to deal with. All right, let's continue on here. Do you want to go over the next one? Another IGN destroyer. Let's go.
Fuyutsuki, meaning Winter Moon. She accompanied the battleship Yamato on her final sortie and was among the few ships to survive the operation, escaping with relatively limited damage. Got rapid firing guns with good damage per minute, strong HE with improved pin, low maximum speed and below average maneuverability, access to exhaust smoke generator and torpedo reload booster, large health pool. Fuyutsuki is a main battery focused destroyer similar to tier 8 Akazuki in playstyle. She benefits from improved HE pin, allowing her to strike through the deck armor of many cruisers at her tier, and with the inertia fuse for HE shells commander talent, she can overcome 32mm of armor. Her great rate of fire combined with decent ballistics allows her to deal a considerable amount of damage in a short time, making Fuyutsuki a serious threat to the wide range of opponents. Her exhaust smoke generator also supports this playstyle. Use it offensively to fire on a target while remaining hidden continuously and capturing a key area if the opportunity arises. Her torpedoes are also a strong asset in particular situations. While limited to a single quadruple launcher, they retain good speed and high maximum damage. You can launch them to fend off the enemy while resisting and waiting for a smoke cooldown.
Yeah, so this is just screaming Akazuki. To me, this is just a premium Akazuki, which I love the Akazuki. I think the Akazuki is a fantastic destroyer. Let's open up the specs here. I'm guessing, yep, 100mm guns. It does get the 1/4 pen, it says there, and with IFHE, you can pen to 32, which is just right in the wheelhouse of where you want to be with 100mm guns. I'm thinking Montana has a bound stern that are 32mm. Any French battleship is just plated, stem to stern, and 32mm plating. So American battleships, French battleships, you're just gonna eat them things for breakfast. It just looks like an Akazuki, a tier 10 version of an Akazuki, and I'm really impressed with it. See, this is something that I would actively want to get. And it's got a premium slot, right? It's a premium ship, so you can take any 21-point commander, even your Akazuki commander, right? And throw them on this, and you'd be good to go at tier 10. This thing sounds really good. I'm pretty impressed with this thing already.
It's got the exhaust smoke generator, so you don't have to sit there in your smoke and suck up torque.
Yep, and that's really nice too. That's actually really, really nice. Maneuverability, rudder shift time 4.5 seconds. So okay, detectability by sea. So this is standard, you know, 7.5. Okay, you can get that down, like I said, probably 6.3, 6.4, somewhere around there. This is a nice destroyer. This is a really, 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 really nice destroyer. I 10-10 would recommend. I like it already. Can't wait to play the crap out of it. Gunboat, tier 10 Akazuki for the win. Let's go.
All right, so this next one is a super ship, Kurama, I think, about as good as I'm going to get. So, Japanese heavy cruiser design representing a hypothetical continuation of the Imperial Japanese Navy's Type A cruiser line armed with 2 or 3mm guns. The ship is named after Mount Kurama, located near Kyoto. Impressive cell ballistics with good damage and high accuracy, decent damage per minute, access to burst fire and modified shells alternative mode, powerful torpedoes with long range, but weak armor. If you enjoy the Japanese heavy cruiser line, you'll feel right at home with Kurama. While her armament layout may seem similar to cruiser Tier 10 Zao, there is one crucial difference. Her shells have a higher velocity, allowing for more precise and punishing hits on enemy ships. With short range for her tier, Kurama excels in ambush and good gameplay. Taking advantage of cover at close to mid-range, you can set opponents ablaze with her high fire chance. Keep enemy destroyers away with her strong HE shells. They risk being quickly sunk due to Kurama's higher than average maximum damage. Switch to her AP shells to make great use of accurate guns and burst fire, and modified shells alternative firing mode. With these, Kurama can deliver powerful strikes against broadside targets of enemy cruisers and battleships. Her great concealment and speed values would help her to take favorable positioning for this type of attack and approach less maneuverable targets, as the range drops down significantly in the alternative firing mode. She also carries a powerful torpedo armament with 10 torpedo tubes per side. Fast, hard-hitting, and with decent range, they are suitable for delivering a finishing blow to the targets you've weakened in advance with your gunfire. Following the Japanese cruiser line's trend, Kurama can equip both submarine surveillance and hydroacoustic search, with the latter sharing the same slot with defensive AA fire, to secure her flanks against enemy submarines and destroyer threats. Still, she must be cautious while executing maneuvers, as her armor is fairly thin.
Super Zao, baby, let's go. This thing looks actually really amazing. It's higher velocity guns than the Zao. The Zao guns already have really good velocity. You never hear the Zao of having inaccurate guns, right? If this thing's just gonna be a beefed up version of that, this thing's actually gonna be pretty stout. It's gonna play identical to a Zao. It's gonna be a kiting cruiser, and this thing actually looks pretty cool. And they gave it a burst fire, right? That's pretty wild. We'll pull up some of the specs here just to look at it, but there's really not too much to look here. It does have a low HP pool, 52,100, fore and aft plating 25 millimeters, so it's very Zao-ish. This is a kiting cruiser meant to farm damage. I think you might be able to push with this thing late game. Torpedo protection reduction 29%. That's actually pretty good. Fire duration 30 seconds, so it does have, cruiser burn time, which is nice. I'm looking for the fire chance is what I really want to say. Oh god, look at this thing, baby. Look at this thing, baby. Chances of causing fire on target 23%. That's nuts. That's nuts. Let's go. Let's go. You're gonna burn everything to the ground with this thing. You are literally gonna burn everything to the ground with this thing. It's gonna be pretty nuts. Armor penetration capacity of 34 millimeters. I don't think I would build into IFHE with this. I don't think IFHE would get you above like a 40 millimeter threshold. You're not going to be penning the decks of the Napoli with this thing with IFHE. I would just build in guns, even increase your fire chance. Why not? You know what I mean? Focus on just like raw damage output with this thing. It's going to be fun to play. And they gave it torps too. So what are the torps here? 4x5 610 millimeter torps. So this thing has 20 torps. Oh my goodness. Oh my sweet goodness, baby. Max damage 23,767. You do not want to catch a torp from this thing, man. Max range 12 kilometers too. This thing's gonna be crazy fun to play. Speed of the torp 67 knots. Honestly, that's what you're gonna find. I think Zao is kind of very similar to that. If you're used to torping in a Zao, this thing's gonna be pretty decent. Detectability by range 1.7. Okay, so it's just Zao. It's basically Zao copy pasta torps with a little extra damage. They did give it AWS, which is really nice. Let's see. What's the concealment? Detectability by sea. The base detectability is 12.2. Much like the Zao, is going to have insanely good concealment. Like ridiculously good. Yeah, right around that 11 kilometer mark. So you're just, high 10s, low 11 kilometer mark with your concealment. So you're just going to be able to pick and choose what ships that you want to shoot at from range and just hammer on everything. And with the burst fire too, that's just gonna be really cool. Detectability after firing the battery shells. Okay, so your gun range is 16.8. Yeah, looks like a base gun range is 16.8. That's actually, yeah, I mean, that's not too bad. It's 203s. That's actually pretty decent because, like Des Moines, Salem, stuff like it give 15.9. So that actually gets a kilometer. They can outrange a Des Moines. They can outrange a Salem by almost a kilometer. Poor Des Moines, poor Salem. Poor anything that's stacked up on a rock. Yeah, this thing's going to be pretty nuts. I think this is something definitely to be excited about. I'm not a cruiser main, but this thing is just going to wreak all kinds of havoc. And it has a lot of historical value behind it too. A lot of players wanted this ship based on, you know, what she was, the name behind it, and the history behind the ship too, which is like super cool. So we always love seeing ships and content like this come to the game. So this is the ships that are going to enter into testing in closed test in 15.4, guys. There's a lot of good things coming about. It's going to take them a couple months before these things hit. I would say probably 2 patches before they get released, 2, maybe 3 patches, depending on how testing goes and whatnot. But there's some really strong ships here. There's 2 ships here that really stand out to me. The Cayuga, okay, this Canadian Royal Navy ship looks really fun to play. It's a Haida, which is, or tier 9 Haida, which is going to be pretty nutty. I'm curious to see though, does it get hydro? I don't think it does. Slot 3, engine boost, crawling, smoke, and damage control party. So it does not get hydro. It does not get hydro. That's something that the Haida has. That's really nice. So you do lack a little bit of that utility, but this thing's still going to be you can play this thing really aggressively, and I'm really excited about that. The other ship that I'm really looking forward to is the tier 10 Fuyutsuki, however you say that. This thing's going to be really good, a tier 10 version of an Akazuki. I bet it's actually going to be a little bit more maneuverable. If it's based on an Akazuki hull, the Akazuki outturns the Harugumo all day long. So even after they buff the Harugumo. So this thing's going to be very playable. It's going to feel very comfortable to play, and I'm all for it. I think those are the 2 ships that just really stick out for me, as well as the super ship Zhao, which I think is going to be really cool. So they got a lot of exciting things coming down the pike, guys. What do you think? Let me know what you think in the description below of some of this content. I'm pretty excited about it. I think we're going to be good to go.